This is the breaking news. Hostel residents from various parts of Johannesburg have taken to the streets in protest against foreigners. The crowds had gathered for a meeting in Jeppestown with former IFP leader Prince Buthelezi. But some stormed off as Buthelezi appealed for calm. That came after the recent violence attacks, in fact, and the looting of shops owned by foreigners in the Johannesburg CBD. Some saying it is the latest wave of xenophobic violence in that part of the country. We can now get an update. Bring in eNCA reporter Nqobile Madlala, who's standing by in Hillbrow with an update. Nqobile, bring us right up to speed with what's going on there.
Well, basically, there's been a lot of protest from the citizens. In fact, as you can see behind me, there's still a lot of people that are still standing there. There was a wall just across the streets of people that were here, and we are in our understanding. It's that it's all started, like you said, from Julie's in Jeppestown, and everybody dispersed, and the police have been trying to basically control the crowds. We've seen some of the people being attacked on the streets. We've seen, as you can hear, a lot of people are disgruntled, and we don't understand why exactly. As you can see on the flats there, everybody's out. But just to have a better understanding, we've got a spokesperson here who will speak to us. Okay, that has changed. So, sir, will you please explain to us what has happened during the day and what is still happening in Hillbrow?
Yeah, as we all know, firstly, I'm the Provincial Commissioner, Lieutenant General Moen. Yes, as we know that today there was a meeting whereby mainly the residents of the hostels were invited to be addressed by Prince Buthelezi. Seemingly, majority of the people who were there, they were not happy with what they had. So there was a splinter group which also came down to the CBD. And as it comes to the CBD, it has caused a panic. Panic mainly to the normal churchgoers, the normal revelers, the normal people who were in the CBD. They became to be scared and they were phoning around, and then police were redirected to come and contain the situation down here. As you can see behind us here is the building which is mainly occupied by foreign nationals. So they are also preparing themselves that in case the residents or the people from the hostels, they come down here, they will be ready for them. So what the police are trying to do currently is to keep the two groups apart. The hostel dwellers, to keep them that other side, including the residents, the citizens of this country. And we also try to calm the situation down by ensuring that these people, they mustn't go down there, they must leave everything to the police. We will continue to negotiate with both groups, tell those ones to can remain wherever they are, and also this one to remain in this building. Once both groups are contained in their spaces, I think later on we'll have normality in the CBD.
I just want to ask you, Commissioner, how are you going to ensure safety for the residents? Because we've seen the police trying to disperse the crowd with rubber bullets, and it got a little bit ugly. What's going to happen now?
No, what is going to happen now, so long they do nothing, we won't act. But should they try to be unruly, attack anybody, that's where we are going to act. We'll use force. Minimum force, obviously, to ensure that we put them apart. What needs to happen now is to keep the group apart. And this is exactly what we are going to do. We'll remain present here. We have mobilized enough forces on the ground to ensure that stability is maintained. But what we are calling upon, especially for the people who have no serious business to do in the CBD, to stay put. Some of them, they must leave, they must go wherever they stay, or others, they must stay indoors. The more we have the unruly spectators on the street and peaceful people away from the city, then we are going to know that once we act against those who are causing havoc in the CBD.
Commissioner, there's a lot of people that are going to work tomorrow. How are you going to make sure that these people are safe, and what's the way forward for them going to work in the morning?
We are going to maintain a strong police presence here. Even tomorrow, we'll ensure that we are around to ensure that people who are going to work, people who are going on with their normal business are not being disturbed. But we'll remain here until stability is maintained.
Thank you very much, sir.
You are welcome.
So as you can hear there, the police are saying that they will maintain, they'll be on the streets the whole night and the next day. They'll make sure that there is some sort of stability on the roads. But just to give you an idea, as you can see, the crowd is still gathering all around there. There's still people outside and still watching what is happening. So the situation is sort of volatile, but the police are in fact on top of it.
So, Nqobile, as we watch then this crowd of people from the nearby hostels gather in central Johannesburg tonight, where are many of the foreign nationals? Have they left the area, or are they still locked in some of those buildings to ensure that they keep themselves safe to some extent?
Well, basically, like the commissioner was saying, a lot of the foreign nationals are present all around us. A lot of them live around this area, but we haven't exactly identified who is from the hostel and who is of foreign national. But what we have seen on the streets is some people being attacked. In fact, we witnessed just an attack just down the road where they were basically kicking around one of the people there. But the police, of course, just swift in with their eNCA, shooting rubber bullets at everybody to try and disperse the crowd.
So the police then, the Gauteng Police Commissioner speaking to you a short time ago, Elias Mawela, giving an assurance that they will try to maintain as calm a situation as possible in central Johannesburg going into the evening. But I'm wondering if the people who are out there, both on the streets and in the buildings, have confidence that the police can put a handle on this situation, because the last time we saw similar scenes, it went on for a number of days.
Well, I think that's the fear that everybody has here, and that's probably why you see the police presence. In fact, just to give you an idea, a little earlier on, we're just further down this road, and we have moved up because the police were pushing the crowds away from the central of this road, which is where they were basically attacking each other. So I think for now, as the police say, that they will be present, but it is definitely something just to watch and see what happens over time. But we are hoping that the police will be able to disperse the crowd, because what we see here on the streets is very ugly. It's not something that we should be seeing. In fact, a lot of people being attacked is not a good scene.
So, Nqobile, how different then is the picture now, this relative calm, to what was going on there when you arrived?
Well, so when we arrived, we were just further down this road, and the police were basically dispersing the crowds because a lot of people were coming in from different angles and basically meeting up on this road, which is just further down that side. And then we all came up, and when we came up, there was basically a wall. The people that you see there on the sides there by the road, by the robot there, they were standing across horizontally, blocking this road. But now what you can see is the police have managed to actually make the road usable. As you can see, there are people who are now driving up. In fact, the entire time this road was closed off by the people that were standing across and the people that were basically attacking each other. We saw some of the people that were throwing rocks and stones from the top of the buildings, and the police basically just moved in to come up and to try and stop everybody else, and then they opened the two roads. As you can see, there's still a lot of spectators all around us, and there's still a lot of people on the streets, and we don't know what's going to happen, but the situation is definitely volatile.
We don't know what's going to happen, but for the benefit of the people who are just joining us now as we cover this breaking news out of central Johannesburg, it's worth reminding everyone that there had been some sort of address to the people who live in the hostels around there by the now former IFP leader Mangosuthu Buthelezi. A lot of them, Nqobile, the people going to that meeting, not very happy with his message of peace.
Well, from what we have heard from the police, they're saying that the hostel dwellers were unhappy about the message, and what they did was they then dispersed. Some of them we assumed, and then dispersed into different groups going around town. And then we heard of things like the places that were being attacked, and then we saw people being attacked all around us. And of course there was a bit of retaliation, I guess, from people, and also that's why we've got a wall right behind us. In fact, I'm just going to show you, the police are now trying to get people to leave the area because they've been trying to get them off the streets, but people are basically staying here and they're just coming back in numbers. They keep going and coming back in numbers, and they keep going, they're coming back. So as you can see, these are some of the people that were here, and they've been here the entire time. We've seen some of them attack each other. We've seen a lot of people from there on the roofs throwing stones to the bottom here, and we've seen Inyala just going all around to try and disperse people, just shooting rubber bullets and trying the best that they can to make sure that this whole area is more controlled.
So this is the one area where a crowd has massed essentially in Nqobile this hour, but like I was referencing just last week, we saw different flare-ups of similar scenes. Are police now preempting any possible moves to other locations?
Well, at the moment, this is the main area that everybody has been longest, because the area that we were on much earlier on is just further down, and we started from Jeppestown, where everybody was moving down, and they ended up here, which looked like some sort of standoff with the wall protecting everybody else from that side. But for now, we understand that everybody has gathered here, but we're not sure exactly where else they will move to, because even on these flats here, we've seen people inside throwing stones and also attacking each other just along this route. As you can see, people are walking up here just along this route. So there's definitely different groups that are here, and we're not sure then what is their next move. But we do know for a fact that they are still standing here, and there's definitely, obviously, something that they're going to try and perhaps do, or maybe eventually listen to the police. As you can see there's the Inyala that has been trying to disperse them the entire time. Others are trying to reason why this is happening. In fact, we spoke to some of the people a little earlier. While some of the South Africans were saying that they must leave, others were saying that this is a home for everybody. So it is a situation that mimics one that we saw last week in Julius and all around town, where we saw people fighting, and obviously fighting over the fact that, like they have identified a little earlier on, saying that some of the people are taking their jobs, and other people saying that they also have a right to get a job in South Africa. So we're seeing that happening, playing, even though there might not be a reason at this moment for this to play, as you have mentioned earlier, that it was about that meeting that happened with the hostel dwellers that then ended up evoking all this anger and evoking all these people, and ended up with all this happening on the streets. But we have seen some rubber bullets that were being shot on the streets, and we presume that the police has this because already there are 2 lanes that are now working, and the people are on the sides now. They're no longer blocking the road, so the people that are coming back from churches or coming back into the city can now actually come in. So we presume at this moment that everything is in fact under control, as we can see and as the commissioner has said.
Do we know then if there have been any arrests since those few hours when all of this began?
Well, at this very moment, I can't confirm the number of arrests, but I do understand that a little bit earlier on, before we started crossing, we did see one of the people just down there on the side where they were putting them in the van. We are assuming that there was an arrest there.
Nqobile Madlala, eNCA reporter, live for us in central Johannesburg. They were tracking that breaking news where there has been some sort of march, if you will, by people coming from the hostels around the inner city who are calling for foreign nationals to leave that part of the country. All of this coming just hours after A group of people left a meeting that was addressed by the former IFP leader Mangosuthu Buthelezi, who condemned the recent looting of foreign-owned shops and the subsequent violence. We'll continue to take you back to the CBD as and when we get news of all the latest developments. So stay with eNCA for that. Well,